Hello everyone, it's Stephanie. Thanks so much for joining me. Today I am going to be doing a review for Hippie Crafter watercolor pencils, as well as some of their watercolor paper. And in doing the review, I'm going to share projects that I made and share with you some of the favorite ways that I love to use watercolor pencils, especially budget watercolor pencils. So let's take a look at these pencils. 3 lovely trays of colors. I'm going to share all of those with you. The trays are kind of flimsy. They do have little finger holders, but the trays are kind of flimsy, as they are with many companies, whether they're budget sets or not, I found. But they do come in a nice tin that's got a hinged lid, which I liked. I also like that they don't have any pretend light fast ratings on these. Here I'm showing you the first project that I made, which is a bumblebee. Sometimes if I'm feeling lazy, can't think of anything to draw, I'm not particularly inspired to draw anything, I will use stencils. And if you're a crafter, you probably have lots of stencils, and if you don't feel like you can draw, grab a stencil. You literally just trace it, color it in, start laying up your colors. And here I'm using the Hippie Crafter watercolor paper. The Hippie Crafter watercolor paper is a 140-pound white, it's a heavyweight watercolor paper. I found it pretty similar to most budget, cellulose papers. It's not 100% cotton, so it's going to be for practice work, for swatching, that kind of thing, but they do state that it's professional grade, acid-free, pH neutral, cold pressed surface, and it's pretty affordable. It comes in a pack of 2 watercolor pads, and each pad has 30 sheets that are 9 by 12 inches. I thought this paper was great for practicing, for when you want to play and you want to experiment, you want to do swatches, that kind of thing. Get your metallic paints out and start making details with gold. That's my go-to, because I love, with budget pencils especially, I love incorporating them and using metallic paints over them. So I went using my Paul Rubens metallic watercolors. I'm just going along and putting some details, and then I don't know how to quit, so I'll just stop. I'll just keep doing more details. I really enjoy the detail part, so I can, go on and on. I think I come back and add some black as well after a while, because I really like to add the contrast. I really like the mix of the gold and the lights and the greens, and yeah, that's the way I like it. So here I'm sharing what that looked like on the Hippie Crafter watercolor paper. And so next I'm going to draw this starfish. And now I'm using 100% cotton paper, and I'm going to draw this quickly. So this is another way that I love to use watercolor pencils, is I'll draw, and using a reference, either an object or a photo, I'll go ahead and draw out an object here. I'm drawing a starfish because it's, pretty easy. I think anybody could do it, can draw along with me. And then I will use my electric eraser to clean up any of my mistakes. And then watercolor pencils are just really forgiving to just go and kind of play. Now I've left quite a bit of this in because I didn't really know, I knew I didn't want to make it blue. That's the color of the starfish that I found at Home Goods. It's actually, it's in my part of my bathroom decor. And yeah, that's what I'm painting, because I wanted to paint something that you guys could see, and it's all because I'm doing this on camera. It's all a matter of, like, I don't want to copy somebody's artwork, and I don't want to get in trouble for any of that. So one thing that so I'm going along and I'm just starting to shade in all of these with these pencils. And and I usually pick 3 colors, a light, a medium, and a dark. and I pretty much stay there until I'm done, and then I'll add more if I need it. But that's generally how I color with watercolor pencils. So I'm coloring this, and one thing I noticed is that all of these pencils did sharpen really well. I'm still reaching for my AFMAT rechargeable pencil sharpener, and I'll have that link below. That really is my favorite, mostly because it's rechargeable and it's really handy to have right at my desk, and it holds a charge for quite a while, and then I just plug it in for a little. So having it without a cord, it only takes one time of knocking over your water from your water glass with that cord to appreciate the rechargeable having no card on your desk. So yeah, I'm really loving that one. I still like the Jarline sharpener as well, and that's what I use when I get a brand new set to just, if I have to crank through 100 pencils, that's my go-to. So here is the way that I wanted to share this. I have this little Caran palette, and I'm still on the fence. I love this, but it seems like such a simple little thing. All it is a little plastic palette that has a little bit of texture. So I'll have this link below, but it really does help to get some pigment and just use a damp watercolor brush and go along and pick up some extra pigment, and then you can really add some detail and, you know, go back and layer. And the beauty of using it this way with the Caran palette is you don't have to wait for the layers to dry. You can go in wet and wet. You can, you know, you don't have to wait. Probably the #1 rule, you just want to wait till your drawing has thoroughly dried before you go in with your watercolor pencil to add layers. Because if you don't, it can damage the tooth of the paper, and then you're not going to like the results. Here I'm pretty much done, and so I can't help adding some metallic because I love it. So I'm using my Paul Rubens metallic to add just a little bit of shimmer and just some dots and that kind of thing. Here I'm going in with the P.H. Martin's Bleedproof white, and I'm just adding some of those details on top. This is more just to give you guys some ideas of how you can use your watercolor pencils no matter what brand you're using. Sometimes I find it just so relaxing because it kind of is just mixing my favorite watercolors with colored pencils. So I have a really sharp pencil that I'm going along, and I waited till this has dried all the way, and I'm going around the edges and adding some shadows and some more detail. And here is the last way that I wanted to share about that I love using watercolor pencils, and that is layering. So this is a project that I made, and I did not have a reference photo. This is just like using my imagination, and all of the paintings that I usually use a reference are better, honestly, but sometimes I just want to play, and so this is just playing and not using a reference photo and just playing with colors that I like and blending them out and going in. So I had drawn it out the day before and painted it, and the next day is when I'm going and I'm adding some layers, and it really does well, and especially for going in and putting in the shadows, and I just think it's so fun. I love doing that. So after I went in and added the color where I wanted it, it's kind of a little bit of color here, lines with the shadows. I'll go in with just a damp paintbrush, and it just reawakens that pigment. And I love using this Caran palette, and it really does help with watercolor pencils. It also works really well with Inktense pencils because it has just a little bit of texture, so it lets you, I just scratch on some of the pigment, and then you can use a damp brush to pick some of it up. And the palette was actually meant to go with the Neocolor 2s, but I've actually never tried it with that. So I kept using it with my Inktense and my watercolor pencils. It's not perfect, it does stain, and I've heard people say that they use a chopping board, so you might see if you have one of those. For affordable pencils, I thought these were really nice, and they are, I haven't compared them against any other watercolor brands that are budget friendly. For the price, I think these were really good. The cons I would say with these are, if you want to use these, they're probably not light fast if you want them to be. I just want to play, so that doesn't bother me a bit. They have lots of fun colors. One thing I liked about these pencils is they do both have a name and a number on each of the pencils. And that's really good, especially for budget. Some budget pencils aren't even putting names on them anymore. I really love having a name, not just a number. So, but that said, these you're definitely going to want to swatch out because some of the names were kind of weird. Like they had a peach that was clearly a pink. They have a turkey red. I've never heard of turkey red, but it's a pretty color. They had a flush medium that looks like a cadmium orange to me. I don't know. So some of the colors names didn't fit the color to me, but at least they're all beautiful colors and it's their company, so they can name the color what they want. I did really had a lot of fun playing with these. I know I've promised you guys for years that I would start doing comparisons of different brands, and I'm going to really try to focus on that this year. I really can't, you know, purchase all of the pencils. So if you have lots of different sets of affordable watercolor pencils, these, honestly, these probably aren't that different. Probably don't need these because they're probably not that different than your affordable sets you already have. But if you don't have any affordable watercolor sets yet, then you might really enjoy these. I really love the freedom of being able to play. I love having all my pricey watercolor pencils. I do. I love them so much. You can't beat them. But when I just want to play, I'm still reaching for my budget affordable watercolor pencils all the time. Because I don't have to worry if it's, you know, if I don't like it, I haven't wasted anything. Still at that point in my hobby. Now if I'm paying big money, I expect them to be light fast, but these don't have light fast ratings. Price reflects that. So yeah, I had a lot of fun playing with these. If you don't have very many budget sets of watercolor pencils, I think you guys would really enjoy these as well. I hope you enjoyed this video and hope you guys take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.